Good evening, everybody. Welcome. Hey, it's got so many familiar faces. It's good to see you guys. Welcome. My name is Dal Granga, and I'll be hosting us through this evening for our Gita Yajna, Gita Jayanti. Anybody know what this day is? Like, no, I just came. I just saw a brochure. I just heard there was music upstairs. I heard there's going to be free food. Gita Jayanti or Gita Yajna, it's the anniversary of the day that the Bhagavad Gita was spoken. So some 5,000 years ago, Kurukshetra, the Bhagavad Gita was spoken, and the Bhagavad Gita translates, we know, to the Song of God. It's a spiritual teachings on which really the philosophical tenets and principles on which we operate here at the Bhakti Center, and the principles of yoga. We have a yoga studio one flight down. Before you leave, you have to go into our yoga studio downstairs, not to take a yoga class, but to get we have free gifts, we have info stalls, we have Bhagavad Gita stalls. Well, we have a yoga studio where we do teach asana on other days, but that's not our primary purpose is to teach people how to move with their bodies, but also how to move through life according to the principles of the Bhagavad Gita. So this day really is an opportunity for us to kind of honor and appreciate the teachings of the Gita. We'll also have a chance to recite some of the verses from the Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita was originally written in Sanskrit, one of the, if not the oldest language in the world. And so you have an opportunity to recite the Sanskrit verses. There was once, I believe it was either on a Janmashtami or was some festival where Srila Prabhupada, one of the spiritual founders, visionaries of this project who's since passed, who translated and commented on the Bhagavad Gita, he was giving a class and he was telling some of his students that they can just recite Bhagavad Gita or recite slokas in Sanskrit. He was like, well, people won't even understand. He's like, you may not understand, but you can just listen and the sound is purifying. Because it's touching, it's calling deep into the soul. And so we'll have an opportunity to recite Bhagavad Gita. And we have all of these brochures here. If you don't have one, make sure you got one because it'll be a call and response where our priest will be reciting Gita and you have an opportunity to respond back. But before we get into any of that, we're going to invite one of our dear community members, Gaur Kumar, to give a short talk on the spirit of the Bhagavad Gita and its application in our modern day lives. So he's going to speak for about 30 minutes. Then after that, we're going to come and give some more announcements on what's going to actually take place during the Yajna. So for this portion, please give a big round of applause and welcome Gaur Kumar to the speakers.
Hare Krishna. So happy to be here. Thank you all so much for joining today. So just by show of hands, how many of you have read at least one verse of the Gita? Almost all of you. Great. Thank you. So today, we will discuss in the next 30 minutes the 5 topics of the Gita. Specifically, for each topic, we'll go through one sample verse, one analogy, and one lesson that we can draw from these 5 topics. So, before we start, does anybody know what the 5 topiks are? Even if you don't know the exact Sanskrit, what do you think are the 5 topics of the Gita? Anybody? Yes?
One of them might be Sangha.
Sorry?
Sangha?
Sangha?
Yeah.
Association? Yeah, okay. Anyone else? What are the 5 topics? What do you think are the 5 topics of the Gita? Yes?
I was going to say approaching the spiritual master.
Approaching the spiritual master. Okay? So before we go on a spiritual journey, we need to know who we are. And that is where the Gita starts. Who are we? We are the Jiva. That's the first topic that we're going to cover today. And then, who do we connect to? Who do we connect to? We connect to Ishvara, or God. That's the second topic we'll cover today. And then, what are we encapsulated in? We are all encapsulated in something called the Prakriti, or the material nature, which is composed of 5 things: earth, water, fire, air, and ether. We are surrounded by it. Even our bodies are made up of these 5 elements. So we'll discuss that as well. So these are the 3 main things that we'll be talking about today: the Jiva, the Ishvara, and the Prakriti. And there are 2 more topics. What are they? This relates to the interactions. So the Jiva, that is we, interact with the Prakriti, or the material existence. And that creates what is called the karma. So you see here, the Jiva, he is interacting with the Prakriti through the 5 senses: sound, touch, sight, taste, and smell. Right? And this interaction creates what is called karma. And the last topic is how the Ishvara interacts with the Prakriti and how that is manifested in this world. And that is manifested as time, or kala. So these are the 5 topics: Jiva, Prakriti, Karma, Ishvara, and Kala. So before we go ahead, I wanted to set the scene, the Bhagavad Gita. So when did the Bhagavad Gita take place? As Dara Gauranga said, it was on this particular day, several thousand years ago, that Lord Sri Krishna narrated the Bhagavad Gita to his dear disciple and devotee and friend, Arjuna. It was on this day. There was a huge battle that was about to take place. Now, even though externally there was a huge fratricidal war that was about to take place, within the mind of Arjuna, there was a huge battle going on within himself. There was a huge ethical tension. So what is this tension? The tension was between reason and emotion. How many of us have gone through this tension? Where the heart is saying something, the mind is saying something. How many of you have experienced that? And what do you do? What do you do in this tension? So this is the tension that Arjuna was going through. What exactly does this mean? What is this tension? So Arjuna, by profession, was a warrior. So what does a warrior do? A warrior has to protect law and order and punish the wrongdoers. In this particular case, the wrongdoers were his family members. So he had this ethical tension. Should he protect law and order, or should he protect his family members? What should he do? So he felt that this was a lose-lose situation. Whichever option he took, he would lose. So one of them is called the Kshatriya Dharma, which is the professional duty that is on the side of reason. On the side of emotion, on the side of heart, it is called Kula Dharma. So he had this ethical tension between the two, and he was not able to decide which side should he choose. Should he choose the professional side, or should he choose the dynastic side? So he thought this side was lose, and the other side would also lose. So at this time, he asks Krishna, Prichami tvam dharma sammuda chetaha. What am I supposed to do, Krishna, at this time? What is my duty? What is my dharma? This was the question that Arjuna asked Krishna. At this time, Krishna starts by mentioning one word in Bhagavad Gita chapter 2, verse 11, and the same word is used at the end of the Gita in 1866. So for the scholars of Bhagavad Gita, what is the first word that Krishna uses at the beginning of the second chapter in verse 11? What is the first word? What do you think? If somebody approaches you with a huge ethical tension like this, what would you say? It can be in English. What would you say? Anybody? What is the first thing you think that Krishna would have said? There's no right or wrong answer. You can go ahead.
Arjuna's name.
Arjuna's name, okay. That's a good guess.
Ask him to calm down.
Ask him to calm down. Excellent, thank you. So the first word that Krishna uses, which very interestingly is the last word also, is asosyan. Asosyan, anvasoshyastvam. Asosyan means do not worry. Do not worry. And the last word in 1866 is masuchaha. Again, do not worry. Now, this is how Krishna starts, and this is how Krishna ends. Isn't it so interesting that how Krishna is trying to calm Arjuna first? Do not worry, Arjuna. Even though you're going through this huge ethical tension between reason and emotion, the first word that Krishna says and the last word that Krishna says is, do not worry. And that's how the Gita, if you see the verses 2:11 and 1866, that's how it starts and that's how it ends. So now Arjuna still is confused. Hey Krishna, I'm still going through this ethical tension in my mind, and you're saying don't worry, but in this battlefield, all I'm seeing is that people around me, my friends, my family members, they're all going to die. There's going to be a huge change. How can I not worry? How can I not worry, Krishna? This is what Krishna is asking. So the answer is when Krishna talks about the jiva, which is our first topic for today. So Krishna starts by saying, you're worrying for that which is not worthy of lamentation, Arjuna. You should not be worrying because all that you're seeing is bodies and they're all eternal. So he starts by saying who we are. We are not the body, but we are the spirit soul. So there are so many verses in this regard that Krishna mentions. So I will take one verse, Bhagavad Gita chapter 2, text 13, to illustrate this point. So I just recite the verse and then read the translation. Dehinosmin yata dehe kaumaram yauvanam jara tata dehantara praptir dhiras tatra namuyati. So here the translation is, as the embodied soul continuously passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. A sober person is not bewildered by such a change. Now, if you carefully observe, change is happening all around us, within us, around us, and all the time in the material existence. Change is the only constant. So I'm going to show you the first analogy of a video, and you see here some Hollywood actors who are going through change over the years.
Are we gonna get some Bollywood too?
So what has Krishna done by this answer? What Krishna has done, he's changed the vision of Arjuna from matter to spirit. The first thing that he has done, he's immediately changing the vision of Arjuna. The Arjuna is thinking that all of these friends, his family members are all going to die, Krishna. So Krishna is immediately elevating the consciousness of Arjuna from matter to spirit by saying that all of these people around you are eternal. None of them are going to die. So beyond the changing body, there is the unchanging soul. That is the point that Krishna is trying to make. And in almost the large portion of the second chapter, Krishna focuses on this one aspect. So the last line here, where he says, a sober person is not bewildered by such a change. Now you might question, I'm not going through any change. So let's take some changes in our own lives. Okay? So in our own lives, right from the time we are born till now, we also go through a lot of changes. Not just physical changes, but even on the changes that we act, the attachments that we have, and so on. So I'll start by a funny example. All these changes I'm going to have with WWW. Okay? So the first W is right. I remember when I was a child, or when I was going to school, I was always writing. writing assignments, writing homework. It was always write, write, write. What is the next thing that starts with W that we go through after writing, writing, writing? What happens next?
Working.
Sorry?
Work.
Work. Yes. Work.com. What is the next change? After we work, what is the next www?
Worry.
Worry? Who said worry? Before worry was something else.
Wedding.
Sorry?
Wedding.
Ready? I was looking for something, but that's also there.
Wife, Health.
Wealth, exactly. Thank you, Nitin. So it's wealth, wealth, wealth. We work and we get a lot of money. So it's wealth, wealth, wealth. And then what happens? Somebody also already mentioned this. So then it becomes worry.com. You start worrying. And then what happens when we worry? So this is a point I want to pause a little bit. So when we worry, we take shelter of certain things. Okay? And what is that we take shelter of? Sometimes we could elevate our consciousness at this point or degrade our consciousness. So what do most people do when they worry? Wine. Thank you. Most people take to wine.com. And then what happens? After they take wine. What is the next www?
They wither.
Sorry, the wither. Okay, I'm looking for something else. Yes. Nobody? Okay, it's weak.com. So, the question that Arjuna is asking is, yes, Krishna, I know that we are going through these changes, but what am I supposed to do? I'm still seeing all these family members who might be dying in this battlefield. So, what should we do amidst change? That is the question. What should we do amidst change? So, Bhagavad Gita offers a message of fearlessness to a fear-filled world. We are all, whether we like it or not, we are all filled with some kind of fear within us. We are always worrying. And why is this worry? Because of some change, some anticipated change. We are fearful of change. That's why in the verse that I just quoted, a sober person is not bewildered by such a change. So what should we do when there are changes around us? Let's take one example. Let's say that you're in the middle of a huge storm. If you're in the middle of a huge storm, what do you look for? When everything around you is changing, you try to hold on to something that does not change. So the more things change around you, the more we need to hold on to things that don't change. So let me show you with an illustration here. You see, there's a huge storm. Everything around him is changing, but he's holding on to one anchor which is not changing. So Krishna is saying here that you must hold on to something. What is that thing? We must hold on to. That is our next topic, Ishvara or God. We must hold on to God because everything here in the material world is temporary and subject to change. We need to hold on to something which will not change, and that is Spirit, and that is the Supreme Spirit is Krishna. Am I making sense so far? The flow? Okay. So who is God? That is the next question that we have to ask. So all of these 700 verses of the Gita can be seen in light of these 5 topics. So every verse of the Gita will belong to one or more of these 5 topics. Okay. So the second topic is Ishvara or God. So the first question that comes to my mind or to our minds is, who is this God? Who is this God? So I'm going to take a verse from the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita to illustrate this point. Krishna talks about God, about his own divinity for the first time in the 4th chapter, and he talks about it in several chapters, in the 7th chapter, in the 9th chapter, in the 10th chapter, and so on. I've chosen this particular verse to illustrate who God is. Matta parataram nyanyat kinchit asti dhananjaya mai sarvam idam protam sutre manikana iva. So here the translation is, O conqueror of wealth, there is no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me as pearls are strung on a thread. So what is Krishna comparing himself to here? The string or the thread of a pearl. What does this mean? So now let's go slightly deeper into this. So Krishna is comparing himself to a thread of a pearl necklace. Why is that? What can we say about the thread of a pearl necklace? Yes?
It connects everything together.
It puts everything together, thank you. If it wasn't for the thread, the pearls wouldn't exist in a pearl necklace, right? It is the thread which is the essence of the necklace. But there's one more important thing. Can we see the thread? Can we see the thread? So the first thing is, the thread is invisible to the pearl necklace, right? And the second thing, as you mentioned, what is your name?
Pandaka.
Sarthaka?
Pandaka.
Pandaka, thank you. Thank you. So the second thing is, without the thread, the pearls would fall apart. And the third is that it is the essence of the necklace. So, now what are the pearls? What are the pearls? We talked about the thread. What do you think are the pearls in a pearl necklace in this particular metaphor? Everything around us, material nature. Just for the sake of simplicity, let's assume that the pearls are all the living entities, right? So all the living entities, so what Krishna is saying here is that he's passing through all the living entities, just like a thread, an invisible thread. He's within us and he's outside us as well. So every pearl is unique, like how every one of us is unique. That's the first thing about a pearl, right? And even if the pearl does not believe in the thread, even if the pearl does not believe in the thread will still pass through the pearl. Whether we believe in God, whether we don't believe in God, Krishna resides or passes through us as that thread. So even if the pearl does not believe in the thread, it is the thread that is holding all of us together, and it is the thread that is passing through all of us. So now, this leads us to the next topic. So far, we have covered Jiva and we have covered Ishvara. We have covered the living entity and we have covered God. And now we're going to cover a topic which is called Prakriti, which is what encapsulates the living entity. Okay. So here I've chosen a verse from the 7th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Chapter 7, verse 4 talks about Prakriti. So the verse goes like this: Bhumir apo nalo vayu kammano buddhire vacha ahankara iti yamme vinna prakriti ashtada. The translation: earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. All together, these 8 constitute my separated material energies. If you look at this illustration here, this is the Jiva, and the 5 elements, earth, water, fire, air, and ether, are shown here in the circle. And how do we interact with them? We interact through our senses, through the sound, touch, sight, taste, and smell. And through this interaction, we are experiencing all the allurements and all the tribulations of this world. And that leads us to the next topic, which is karma. But before we go there, there is one aspect I wanted to share. You see this word ahankar here? So, which is the false ego. It is the false ego that misidentifies the soul with the body. Okay? So what does this mean? I wanted to share one funny example here. So ahankar in a funny way can be thought of like this. Aham is, it's mine. Aham car. I am my car. So many times we misidentify the soul with the body. So just as a driver is different from the car, the soul is different from the body. And just as how the driver activates the car, the soul activates the body, right? And I've seen this when you become really attached to something, when you really desire to enjoy something, you misidentify with it. How many of you have experienced this? A lot of people nodding, yes. So I want to share one funny example. When I was working at Microsoft a few years ago, I had a close friend and he bought a Porsche. He bought an expensive car and that was his dream. He spent a lot of money, he got this Porsche and there was extreme amount of pleasure, right, that he was experiencing. And he was almost thinking that he is this car. He was always in the car, always driving that car, having a lot of pleasure. He was getting a lot of pleasure. Remember what I said, the desire to enjoy with it leads to misidentification with it. And he used to always say, I am my car. Aham car. You know, this is the false ego. You know. So then, one day, after a week or so of buying this car, someone scratched that car when he went to buy something. When he came back, all the pleasure that he had gotten, he started experiencing the equal amount of pain because of that scratch. It was almost like as if somebody had scratched him. So this is what ahankar is. We misidentify with something that we are not truly. So that leads us to the next topic, the fourth topic, which is karma. And if you remember, karma happens by the interactions between the jiva and prakriti or material nature. So the words that are chosen for karma, so the verse that I've chosen for karma is from the 13th chapter, verse 22. I'm just going to read the translation because of time. The living entity in material nature thus follows the ways of life, enjoying the three modes of nature. This is due to its association with that material nature. Thus, the living entity meets with good and evil among various species. I'm going to share one analogy now, and I'm going to tell you what this is, and you can all guess what this living entity is doing. Okay? So this is a silkworm. What do you think it's doing? It's not eating, it's doing something else. Who said that? It's building a cocoon. It's building a cocoon. You see? And this is a video shot that's taken over for 12 hours. So after 5 hours, you see it's building a cocoon just so that it feels protected. It feels that through this cocoon, I can be completely protected. So nature is very rich with such demonstrations of spiritual truths. So one central truth of karma is that our miseries are self-inflicted. Our miseries are self-inflicted in the sense that it is we who inflict these miseries upon ourselves. So, as you see here in this particular example, what is going on? Can anybody say how the misery is self-inflicted? Okay, so this silkworm has built this cocoon, and then what happens?
It's trapped.
What's that?
It's trapped.
It's trapped. Not only that, this cocoon, believe it or not, is the cause of its devastation. It is the cocoon that is actually put in boiling water and it cannot escape. It's trapped. So similarly, what are we doing? So we take shelter of sources of protection around us, and with time, because everything around us is temporary, when they're taken away from us, we feel extreme pain. So the sources of protection that we take shelter of are the causes of extreme pain because of the nature of the material world. Because everything is temporary. So all the allurements, all the tribulations that we are experiencing is because of our interactions with Prakriti. And because of that we get good and bad karma, and because of that we are experiencing allurements and tribulations. So just like how we saw in the silkworm example, our karma is what keeps us bound in the cocoon of material existence. So that is the fourth topic, and now we will move on to the last topic, the fifth topic. Does anybody remember what the fifth topic is? Kala, or time. And how does it manifest? It manifests by the interaction between Ishvara and Prakriti. Thank you. So Kala is the last topic, and I've chosen a verse from the 11th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, verse 32, where the Supreme Personality of Godhead is saying, "Time I am, the great destroyer of the worlds." Why is Krishna saying this? Krishna is saying, "Time I am, the great destroyer of the worlds. I have come here to destroy all people." Doesn't this sound too strong? Why is God coming and telling that He's coming here to destroy all people? What is the purpose? So the last analogy I want to share in this regard is the example of a frog. How many of you have heard of this analogy called the boiling frog? Yes? Do you want to explain what it means? Anybody? Yeah.
The frog is in a pot of water, and the water is getting incrementally hotter and hotter, but it's happening so slowly over time that the frog doesn't realize it until he is boiled into soup.
Exactly. Thank you. That was very well said. So, the point here is that if the frog is put in boiling water, it immediately jumps out, right? But if a frog is put in tepid water, in warm water, and the water is slowly boiling, slowly getting heated, what happens is the frog doesn't even realize, but with time, it is eventually going to die. So, Krishna says, "Time I am." And in the 10th chapter, Krishna also says, "Of all subduers, I am time." So, again the question remains, why does Krishna or God say that He is the destroyer of everyone? Any guesses? Why do you think Krishna says that? Yes?
If he's the string that pulls all of us together, isn't he just pulling us together?
Very well said. If he's the string that is connecting all of us together, like how we saw in the necklace example. So if he's the string that's connecting all of us, isn't he pulling us back to him? Is what you said, correct? Okay, so now let's face the reality. So time is a formidable force. Time is a formidable force, and time will lead us to death. Right? So what Krishna is doing is, as time, he's graphically demonstrating the temporariness of this material world. So what is the purpose of Krishna doing this? He's showing us that everything around us is temporary and everything is subject to change, which should lead us to question some existential truths. And what are those truths? Those truths are what actually lasts. That's the first thing that comes. If everything around me is temporary, what actually lasts? And the second thing, existential question that Krishna is trying to get us to think about is what really matters. If everything around me is going to be taken away, if everything is subject to change, if everything is temporary, then what really matters? And the third thing is, what is our life's purpose? What is life meant for? These are some questions, and Krishna being a wonderful teacher, he's graphically demonstrating this world to us to make us understand or to even question these existential truths. So with this, I have finished my 30 minutes, and I would like to summarize the 5 different analogies that I gave for the 5 different topics. And just to see how attentive all of you are, I'm going to ask you, the first topic was Jiva. What was the analogy or the metaphor that we saw there? Somebody was holding on to something. So when life changes around us, more things change around us, we have to hold on to things that don't change. What was the analogy there? The Jiva, holding on to something that does not change. And what is that something? It's the Supreme Spirit or Ishvara, thank you. And what was the analogy there?
Necklace.
The necklace. Krishna or God is that invisible thread who's passing through all of us. And that and anything else that we talked about. And what are these pearls? The pearls are all the living entities. Each one of us is unique, and each one of us is actually, God is within all of us. Right? And the next thing, what was the third topic that we discussed? Prakriti. What was the example? The analogy that we shared is I am my car, ahamkar, ahamkar. And the fourth topic was karma. And what was the analogy? The cocoon and the silkworm, right? And the last one is time. What was the analogy there? The boiling frog. So these are the 5 topics, and I hope you will all get to read the Bhagavad Gita to go more really deep into these 5 topics. Before we end, I'll just tell you what Gita has taught me. So the question still remains, right? So Arjuna started with this question, what is my dharma? He still has this ethical tension between reason and emotion. So Krishna is saying through the Gita's message that Arjuna, you have to harmonize both reason and emotion to a higher vision of life, a life of spiritual purpose. The second lesson that I've gotten from the Gita is what we are is God's gift to us. What we become is our gift to God. The third thing is, instead of romanticizing this world or demonizing this world, we must utilize this world for spiritual evolution. The next point is, we have an indestructible spiritual core. We discussed this in connection with the Jiva. We all have an indestructible spiritual core, which is the Atma or the soul. The university, this universe is a university. Like, there are so many spiritual truths hidden in the nature around us. Just like how we talked about the storm, the silkworm, the boiling frog. There's so many hidden spiritual truths in nature. This universe is a university, dear friends. And the last thing is that life is an eternal journey of spiritual evolution. I wish you all good luck while you go through this spiritual evolution. Thank you all so much. I was asked to mention one last thing here. So there are 3 things that you can do on this auspicious day of Gita Jayanti. So I put all 3 things here. The first thing is that our dear head pujari, head priest, is going to be leading us into a Gita Yajna, a Gita fire sacrifice. So please participate in that enthusiastically. And the second thing I want to mention is that on this particular day, it is extremely auspicious to get yourself or a gift for your friend a copy of the Bhagavad Gita. This particular month is called a marathon month where we distribute a lot of Bhagavad Gitas. So if you don't have a Gita and you want to go really deep into the message of the Gita, I strongly urge you to get a copy of the Gita. And the last thing is that we won't have time for Q&A today, But I will be at a question and answer booth on the second floor. If anybody has any questions, I'm going to be there with some of my friends. You can come see me there. Thank you all so much.
Thank you so much, Gordon. So as he mentioned, we're going to move on to the next portion of our evening, which is centered in the center of the temple room. So I guess everyone in the front everyone will be making their way to circle to face the yajna. What we're going to do at this time is everyone will get an opportunity to participate. So they're going to start handing around the way a fire sacrifice works, or yajna works, is that there are various articles offered into the fire, one of the main ones being of some form of a grain. And the idea is when you think about the idea of going back in time, and the idea of making some sacrifice back to the Supreme, what are you going to offer? You can't offer anything. Like imagine everyone when they were a kid asked their parents for some allowance, and then you take that money and you go buy your parents a gift for their birthday. My mom has like 10 watches from when I was, or watch every year for my birthday allowance. And so the idea is when we make an offering back to the Supreme, where we are back to Source, what are we going to offer? But we offer back the things that are of value to us. And so they offer generally elements of the earth. There's the fire itself, there's grains, there's different elements to represent the earth. And so each one of you is going to be getting this a bag with 2 little bowls, and there's going to be grains in there. And you empty out the contents into one of the bowls, and then Vasudeva is going to be leading the yajna, and we're going to be reciting verses of the Gita as we go. So we have these pamphlets here. If you don't have a pamphlet, make sure you have one also. Just raise your hand if you need one. And he's going to be reciting, it's going to be a call and response. So you have an opportunity to recite. There'll be 30 selected verses from the Gita. There's over 700 verses in Bhagavad Gita. We've chosen 30 of some of the most prominent ones throughout, from the beginning all the way to the end. And he's going to recite them line by line in Sanskrit, and you can read them here and respond accordingly. And as he makes the sacrificial offering, he'll share something. He'll say this word swaha, which is a time in which something is entered into the fire. Now, because we're not all going to be able to just stand over the fire and just throw ourselves in there, you're going to be able to just take one grain and offer it from one bowl into the other. And at the end of it, all the grains will go from one bowl into the other. And at the end, at 7:30 or after 7:30-ish, when the yajna is done, we will have some kirtan, and then you'll be instructed and guided how to bring your bowl up into the fire itself, so you can actually at the end offer all of it into the fire. And that's the time where you get to say your prayer, make your intention. And it's the end of the year. It's a beautiful time for us to think about transitions, changes as Lord Kumar made us aware of. And so you have the opportunity to make that intention. So this next part of the program is really an opportunity to enter into a meditation. It's the opportunity for us to invite the spirit of the Gita into our hearts. It's an opportunity for us to think about the idea of giving back. And it's an opportunity for us to have this really, really collective, powerful experience centered around the spirit of the Gita. And so Vasudeva is going to lead us in this next portion. And if you need any help or have any questions, just raise your hand and one of our hosts will come around and assist you.
Hare Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastama Vitrishavahai Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Chant all with me once again. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Vanchakalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhyaiva Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnaveyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Radha Shri Vasani Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Om Asya Karma Punyaham Bhavanti Brahmantam. Om Punyaham. Om Asya Karmana Swasti Bhavanti Brahmanta Yusmate Swasti. Om Swasti. Om Asya Karmana Riddhim Bhavanti Brahmantam Ridhitam. Om Swasti No Govinda. Swasti no Achyutananda. Swasti no Vasudeva Vishnu Dadhatu. Swasti no Narayano Naro Vai. Swasti no Padmanabha Purushottamo Dadhatu. Swasti no Vishwakseno Vishveshwaraha. Swasti no Hrishikesho Hariya Dadhatu. Swasti no Vainateyo Hari. Swasti no Anjanasato Hanur Bhagavato Dadhatu. Swasti Samangalai Kesho Mahan Sri Krishna Sachidananda Sarvesvareshwaro Dadhatu. Om Tad Vishnu Paramam Sada Pashyanti Surya Devi Chakshuratatam Tad Vipraso Vibandhava Jagrivum Sasamindhate Vishnu Aryat Paramam Param. Om Tatchamya Ravinimahe Gatum Yagyapataye Daive Swastirastuna Swastirmanushevyah Urdhvam Jigattu Veshajam Shanno Astu Dvipade Shanchatushpade. Om Shanti. So now we'll chant one mantra. We can do this all together. You can repeat after me. Om Apavitra Pavitro Va Sarvavastam Gato Piva Yasmare Pundarikaksham Saha Abhyantara Shuchihe Shri Vishnu. So the meaning of this mantra is that whether you're pure or impure, whatever state of being you're in at this present moment, if you just take this moment to remember Krishna with beautiful lotus eyes, and you can even remember him as he's standing on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, instructing the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. When we remember him in our heart of hearts and place him there, then we become pure and clean, inside and outside. And this way we can properly approach this ceremony, this ritual of sacrifice, of making an offering of our heart to Krishna in the form of the sacred fire. There's many forms Krishna has, which we can approach him. The form here of Krishna is on the altar, and we can see him, we can worship him, we can pray to him there, and also worship him through the sacred fire. So we will invoke Krishna in this sacred fire. And so as Dayal said, you can, whenever I say Swaha, you can repeat after me, Swaha. Swaha. So whenever you hear Swaha, put one grain from one cup into the other. So then at the end, I'll call you all forward, and then you can, this side can line up here on this side, and you all can line up there on that side, and then you can offer your grains. We'll go in kind of circular motion, and we'll offer the grains in the fire.
Does it matter which blender thing you use?
Yeah, you use your right hand for offering the grains. now ask Rasika to light the lamp. Thank you. So now we can have a little kirtan, or we can just chant all together. Do we have a kirtan party? Someone stood up? We don't have to. We can also just chant. So I'm just going to invoke the sacred fire, and then we'll start to offer our oblations. Hare right? So each verse has 4 padas, 4 lines. So we'll chant one line at a time. We'll chant responsively. So I'll chant and then you can repeat after me. Dhritarashtravacha Dharmakshetre Kurukshetre Mamakam Pandavaschaiva Kurvata Sanjaya Krishnaya Om Karpanyadoshophata Svabhava Pritchami Tvam Dharmasamudhacheta Shreyaksha Nishchitam Bruhitam Me Shishyaste Hangsati Mam Tvam Prapannam Swaha Krishnaya Namaha Om Dehinosmin Yatha Dehe Kaumaram Yauvanam Jara Hadehantara Prapti Dhirastatra Namuhyate Krishnaya Namaha Om Karmanyevadhikaraste Ma phaleshu kadachana Ma karma phala heturbhur Mate sangostva karmani Krishnaya Namaha Om Yagyartha Karmano Nyatra Lokoyam Karma Bandhanaha Tadartham Karma Kaunteya Mukta Sangha Samachara Krishnaya Namaha Om Evam Buddhi Param Bhutva Samstaphyatmanam Jahi Shatrum Mahabhaho Kamarupam Durasadam Krishnaya Namaha Om Yada Yada Hi Dharmasya Glanirbhavati Bharata Abhyuthanam Adharmasya Tadmanam Srijamyaham Krishnaya Namaha Om Paritranaya Sadhunam चतुष्कृताम् धर्म संस्थापनार्थाय संभवामि युगे युगे कृष्णाय नमः। ॐ जन्म कर्म च मे दिव्यम् एवं यो वेत्ति तत्त्वतः त्यक्त्वा देहं पुनर्जन्म नैति मामेव एति स्वर्जन कृष्णाय नमः। ॐ तद्विद्धि प्रणिपातेन परिकृष्णेन सेवया उपदेक्षन्ति ते ज्ञानम् ज्ञानिनस्तत्त्वदर्शिनः कृष्णाय नमः। ॐ भोक्तारं यज्ञतपसा सर्वलोकमहेश्वरम् सुहृदं सर्वभूतानां ज्ञात्वा मां शान्तिमृच्छति कृष्णाय नमः। ॐ युक्ताहारविहारस्य युक्तचेष्टस्य कर्मसु युक्तस्वप्नावबोधस्य योगो भवति दुःखः कृष्णाय नमः। ॐ योगिनामपि सर्वेषां मद्गतेनान्तरात्मना श्रद्धावान् भजते यो मां स मे युक्ततमो मतः कृष्णाय नमः। ॐ मतः परतरं किञ्चिदस्ति धनञ्जय मयि सर्वमिदं प्रोतं सूत्रे मणिगणा इव कृष्णाय नमः। ॐ तस्मात् सर्वेषु कालेषु मामनुस्मरयुध्य च मयि अर्पितमनो बुद्धिः मामे वैश्यस्य संशयः कृष्णाय नमः। ॐ राजविद्या राजगुह्यम् पवित्रं वेदमुत्तमम् प्रत्यक्षावगमं धर्म्यम् सुसुखं कर्तुमव्ययम् कृष्णाय नमः। ॐ मन्मना भव मद्भक्तो मद्याजी मां नमस्कुरु मामे वैश्यसि युक्त्वैवम् आत्मानं मत्परायणः कृष्णाय नमः ॐ यद्यद्विभूतिमत्सत्त्वं श्रीमद्ऊर्जितमेव वा तदेवावगच्छत्वं मम तेजोंश संभवम् कृष्णाय नमः ॐ भक्त्यात्वन्यया सख्य भक्त्यात्वनन्यया शक्य अहमेवं विधोऽर्जुन ज्ञातुं द्रष्टुं च तत्त्वेन प्रवेष्टुं च परन्तप स्वाहा कृष्णाय नमः मयावेश मनो ये मां नित्ययुक्ता उपासते श्रद्धया परयोपेता तेने युक्ततमामतः कृष्णाय नमः ॐ ये तु सर्वाणि कर्माणि मयि सन्न्यस्य मत्पराः अनन्येनैव योगेन मां ध्यायन्त उपासते तेषामहं समुद्धर्ता मृत्यु संसारसागरा भवामि न चिरात् पार्थ मय्यावेशितचेतसाम् कृष्णाय नमः ॐ इति क्षेत्रं तथा ज्ञानम् येयं चोक्तं समासतः मद्भक्त एतद्विज्ञाय मद्भावायोपपद्यते कृष्णाय नमः ॐ मां च योगाभिचारेण भक्तियोगेन सेवते सगुणान् समतिचैतान् ब्रह्मभूयाय कल्पते कृष्णाय नमः ॐ सर्वस्य चाहं हृदि सन्निविष्टो अतः स्मृतिर्ज्ञानमपोहनं च वेदैश्च सर्वैरहमेव वेद्यो वेदान्तकृद्वेदविद्यानाम् chaham
Vedanta Kritveda Videva Chaham
Krishnayedam Namah Om Tasmat Shastram Pramanante
Tasmat Shastram Pramanante
Karya Karya Vyavasthito
Karya Karya Vyavasthito
Yatva Shastra Vidhanoktam
Jnata Shastra Vidhanoktam
Karma Kartumiharasi
Karma Kartumiharasi
Swaha Krishnayedam Namah Om Ashradhaya Hutam Dattam
Ashradhaya Hutam Dattam
Tapastaptam Kritam Chaya
Tapasattam Kritam Chaya
Asadityuchyate Partha
Asatityuchyate Partha
Nacha Tatprechano Iha
Nachatat Pretyano Iha
Swaha Krishnayedam Namah Om Manmana Bhava Madbhakto
Manmana Bhagavat Bhakto
Madhyaji Mam Namaskuru
Madhyaji Mam Namaskuru
Mamevaishasi Satyam Te
Mamevashasi Satyam Te
Pratijane Priyosi Me
Pratijane Priyosi Me
Krishnayedam Namah Om Sarvadharman Parityajya
Sarvadharman Parityajya
Mam Ekam Sharanam Vraja
Mamekam Sharanam Vraja
Aham Tvam Sarva Papebhyo
Aham Tvam Sarva Papebhyo
Shayishami Ma Shuchaha
Mokshayishami
Swaha Krishnayedam Namah Om. Okay, last verse. Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna
Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna
Yatra Partho Dhanurdharaha
Yatra Partho Dhanurdharaha
Yatra Shri Vidyayo Bhuti
Tatta Shri Vidyayo Bhuti
Gurvani Tirmatir Mama
Gurvani Tirmatir Mama
Swaha Krishnayedam Namah Om Bhuswaha Idam Vishnave Idam Namah Om Bhuvaswaha Idam Achyutaye Idam Namah Om Swaswaha Idam Narayanaye Idam Namah Om Bhurvuvaswaha Idam Anantaye Idam Namah. So now we can stand up and we can form a line. So now we'll offer the Purnahuti. This is the final oblation. We offer the fire. And with this Purnahuti, you can offer your grains gradually. So Purna means complete, and Ahuti means offering. So this is the oblation offering, which makes the whole yajna complete. So as we make this offering, we can take some sankalpa, the intention in our hearts. As we recited the Bhagavad Gita, we can make the intention to study the Gita to hear the Gita, to live by the Gita, and to, in this way, mold our lives around the Gita and really truly understand the mysteries of the Gita. So with that intention, we can make this final oblation. So just take a moment to make this prayer in your heart, to set this intention in your heart, because that will make the ceremony and the ritual that much more meaningful. Om Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahman Hitaya Cha Jagat Hitaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha Swaha Idam Krishnaya Idam Namaha. पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति. And we can go a little quick because we don't want the fire to go off. Quick, but still prayerful. Om yagye yagyam yajanta deva tani dharmani pratamanyasane dehanakam mahimanasya jante yatra purve santishtiva. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Please repeat. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Rama. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jai Shri Radha Murlidhar ke Jai Chandra ke Jai Gopal ke Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki Shri Gita Jayanti Mahamahotsav ki Jai Gauravanande. Thank you all very much for your participation. And now we'll continue with Kirtan, and very soon we'll have Darshan of Radha Murlidhar. We had darshan of the sacred fire, and now you can all also come forward to take darshan of the deities, the Sri Murtis of Shri Radha Krishna and Gaurachandra. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So we will have Kirtan now. And just a reminder, at 8 p.m. we'll also be serving dinner in the back of the temple room here, so please make sure you stay for prasad. Also on the second floor we have some info booths. If you'd like to learn more about the Bhakti Center and some of our activities here, and also in the back of the temple room we have our Gita booth. If you'd like to have information about Gitas, or just learn about the Bhagavad Gita in general, or get some books. And if you wanted to know more and talk with someone, we have some Q&A sessions down on the second floor as well. There's also a gift for you. So we'll continue with Kirtan and Darshan until 8 o'clock. We'll have dinner.
are reusing people know that we are.
Yeah, I just kept it by me. I can give it back to you. Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Got more.
So sorry.
Hare Krishna. Gita Yajna Jayanti Mahotsava ki Jai. So thank you all so much for being here with us. So grateful for you. Couple reminders. We will be serving dinner prasad in the back, so please make sure you stay for dinner. Also, we have a Gita booth in the back if you wanted to get your copy of the Gita or talk to somebody about the Gita. And on the second floor, please make sure you don't leave without a gift, as well as we have just a general info booths and some stalls downstairs in the second floor yoga studio. So please make sure you stop by somewhere before you leave. And also our good friend Krishna Daya Prabhu is there. He's one of the leaders and organizers of the entire festival. So please give him a big round of applause. Along with Sadhu Charanga, who is running around doing something, he can get our applause too. We have an amazing team of volunteers who too many to count. But just a big round of applause for all of our volunteers as well. There he is, Sadhu Charanga. Give him a big round of applause. Just walked in. Thank you for bringing and joining the wonderful event. And if you'd like to be one of those volunteers, Krishna Daya is recruiting volunteers. If you'd like to help out with any of the services we have to clean up after this wonderful event, you can go see Krishna Daya Prabhu and say, I want to serve. And he will say, I'm so glad you do. And he'll plug you right in. Otherwise, please make sure to stop by a Gita booth, downstairs info booths and gift bags, and grab your dinner prasad in the back, or continue taking darshan around the river.
We can stay here in the ashram, but I live upstate.
Do you come here often?
Not often, a few times a year. It's changing
I
here.
was planning to learn in person from teachers and researching like because the Zoom thing doesn't work out for me sometimes. So I was hunting for Gauravan Prabhu, but he's in DC, he used to be here.
Do you live in New York City? I don't really know what's in New York City, like 2 hours.
Yeah, it's allowed.
And I like it up there. I like the trees.
This gap plus one.
Yeah, it sounds good.
Are you Seth?
I'm Seth,
Do
yeah.
you know if Jayasika's here?
I saw her just at 5 o'clock at the end of the program, and I haven't seen her since, and I didn't talk to her, so I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
She's a friend of mine. I haven't seen her in a while.
What's your name?
Colleen.
Colleen. Okay. I'm going to see her tomorrow morning, so.
Cool. Thanks.
Ram
The man behind
The man behind the
door?
wall, the door.
Yeah.
Big announcements for that.
Pay no attention to the man behind the door.
We have a really nice morning, but maybe you can
They're asking you to make an announcement.
Well, they're telling me to make the announcement to make sure they get their gifts on the second floor.
Could be a disembodied
Yeah,
voice.
But I made that announcement a few times.
Yeah.
And I think they can just catch people on the way out. Because if they're there, then you can't miss it. How's the Kirtan training going?
Great.
Yeah?
Really nice. We just had our full day today.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Amazing.
it's good. It's really good.
Kirtan trainings are the best.
They're kind of great.
Yeah.
You never
What
know
is
this-
straw technique?
Thank you so much.
It's a new technique.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, this is one of my students in class.
Rupesh, you've been in a Kirtan training before, right?
With Prabhuji, he was my
Okay.
first teacher. That's from
Always learning.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah, no, stuff's going really well. Nice. It's like you never know what to expect when. I mean, you always know they're going to be good people and it's the kirtan.
Kirtan training is the best, I found.
Yeah.
You're always ready.
Oh yeah, it's like there's a thirst for it. That's why people are doing it.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of places to get training, so
Yeah.
people really appreciate it.
Yeah. General person in kirtan training is like, I've experienced a little something magical and I want more.
Yeah.
It's like, that's a great place to be in.
Yeah.
Here's your phone, yeah. Awesome. And are you staying in the city somewhere? You're staying here? Okay, great. You got a spot.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, it's our first time staying here. So
Beautiful,
Nice
awesome.
nice to get the full floor-to-floor experience, like floor to ceiling or the roof experience. Go through all the floors and then.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really nice staying here.
Awesome. And is it just you teaching? Or?
Jay's is helping.
Okay,
She's
great.
like there's sustainable teaching. I'm giving her a couple hours each day. Or now he's really training.
Great, yeah, it's good to have another person there.
It is. I mean, I was gonna do it alone, but
Alone's a lot. I mean,
Alone's a lot.
Kishore and I would do it together. The two of us would always do it, balance it out. So it's a lot. And sometimes we have it on our own sometimes. It's a lot. It's also teaching and also you're holding space for people.
Sure, it's not just have someone else present there that's like in that space holding a position, and even these small things for you, you know. So it's actually going really well.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, thank you. So, great teaching here. It's been a
Yeah.
great experience so far.
You've been teaching a couple at Super Soul, yeah?
I taught at Super Soul. I'm
Yeah.
doing
The one in GV.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what days are those?
4th to 15th.
4th to 15th, yeah, so it's right before the wizard training. Yeah.
Right, oh yeah, you've been listening to me.
Yeah. Are you sticking around or are you leaving right
I'm
after?
gonna go to my floor, I think, for like a week and a half.
Right after the kirtan training?
Yeah, and then come back to the flower festival and fly out a few days later.
Wow. Yeah, I'm literally coming just for the training. I'm leaving here like the late night 14th, and I get there like early morning 16th, so I arrive right there for the training.
Yeah, we might, I might stay for 2 days after.
Yeah, I'm
Mine's
arriving on the
on
16th.
Mine's on the 15th, and I'm pretty sure I'll stay for the 9th, so we'll probably.
Perfect.
We'll
And then I'll be staying there through the process.
Okay, you're leaving right after. Yeah, so I'll see you
I
there.
was
Yeah.
expecting all the newsletters, announcing the programs.
All right, I'm gonna walk around make sure
By
everything's
word of
going
mouth,
okay.
and people
Check in
know.
everybody.
Do it. Thanks for your take time.
Thank you for being part of it. Thank you.
So he shouldn't take it personally. And honestly, something like that would be better for like just having really get involved, having cultivate newcomers who are enthusiastic and let you can if you want. I mean, I would take the Ashish bar before just picking leaders and things like that. I would have wanted that if I was leading it. Yes, I don't know why they thought of that. They have no connection with us. But yes. Yeah, it's not. So interesting. Sometimes students just do things. They're not really connected. Yeah, I'm sure it's a devotee, but it's not connected to them. So. There is no other truly legitimate bhakti center. I'm sure it's a wonderful devotee, but if there's no God, it's not Radha's house, but he probably did it wrong. Yeah. I know, stuff like that happens. Well, I feel more part of like, even if I can't part of like monthly talks, I guess you guys talk regularly or well, maybe I can join those calls and just be voice of history. I think we have all the dates and everything. I just need to send. I guess you're doing bios now, which is really good. I don't know if you're good. Yeah, bios are in the website. Oh, it's on the website. Oh, great. I have to check it out. What is that? And then I found it anywhere. My friend did get it. Yes, just it's like maybe like an advisor being part of the team, but not really. Yeah, there's continuity from the past.
But now we keep it holding you.
Yes, do, please, and like, yeah, but you just know that that's something I learned too, is that they're kind of figuring it out still, or I think that is an issue, because just they're still figuring it out, and I interpret it a certain way.
Good to see you. Good to see you. Hi.
So to speak.
Come by.
Well, I was just a little concerned because how we worded some things, but it looks like we're all on the same page, and all will be well. Be more part of it.
But the most important is professional. Getting your
Yeah, I think once we start getting education groups back happening, and like there's gonna be so much life injected into our training, because you'll see, like you'll see that that's where the magic happens. I mean, it was wonderful online, but I'm also online on Zoom and everything. Like I'm ready for the in-person stuff. So
it was good at this,
well, we needed it. It was good, but now it's been like almost 3 years, so we get.
Oh my god, like Julia, she had a little bracelet and SAT 1600 because my kids had two different studies and pandemic. So she would walk around with the board 1600.
Oh my god.
So it worked for us, it worked out.
Yeah.
But now we have an old photo, which is great for everything very close to her soul. Just like in the past, like episode. What's that? Grandma's overcoat. Yeah. Are you familiar with LA?
But it's long run? Yeah.
Yeah, it's on the north.
Oh, okay, cool.
That's right.
So I don't know this very well. I don't even know why I'm asking. I wouldn't know. I'm like, oh, let me. Thank you for, yeah, just looking out for the brothers and all that. Don't forget your
But I think it won't be much. Can you give me a chair? I don't think it'll like laugh. I did that, it's okay.
Oh, sorry. You come in here. We just put that up because of eating. Okay.
There you go. Okay, you ready? Hey, things out here, well, good to see you. See you soon. What? See you. How you doing? You got everything? Hey guys. You guys out? Yeah. Thank you. I will. I had a great time.